My room looks like a mess behind me. My excuse is we're gonna be moving next month, which is true, but we'll go with that excuse. As some of you may know, we have been recording older console stuff using this interesting little device, which some of you may recognize that I did a couple years ago. I did a video kind of comparing the video quality between using this device to do composite to HDMI versus composite by itself. And that video is like my second most popular video, which is insane, and people are still commenting on that video asking me questions that I don't fucking know the answer to because I didn't make this damn thing. Anyway, this has died, which I think I mentioned in my last vlog. So we have actually ordered 2 more. The first one I ordered worked kinda. It overblew all the colors. There was a lot of color bleeding and some really weird sharpness issues where some edges would be really blurry, some edges would be really sharp. But the weirdest thing was it shifted all the audio like half an octave lower than it should have been. So that was really weird. I sent that one back. That one's already been returned. But we ordered a new one that it's plugged in now. It looks a lot like the old one that we did, but the thing that kind of set a red flag to begin with is there's no blue light. There should be a blue light like right here somewhere that it's plugged in. It works, but there's no blue light indicating that the power's on. So we will be we will be returning this one too, but I didn't want to let this one go before doing a review on it. So what I'm gonna do is take every system that I have that I would use with this thing, meaning any system I have that doesn't already have an HDMI option, which means the only 2 that I have right now are the Xbox 360, Xbox One, and Wii U. Those already have HDMI, so I don't need that converter. Now, for your convenience, I'm going to go with the most relevant ones first. So I'll start with the newest generation and then work my way back to the older generations. Because I figured most of the people trying to buy this thing are probably buying it for PS2, Xbox, that generation of consoles. So I'll take a look at those first, because it does kind of work. Now, this video will have a lot of flickering lights and a lot of repeating patterns and stuff like that. So if you are photosensitive, be warned now. Be very careful watching this. So without further ado, here we go. Starting off with the PS2. As you can see, the startup screen looks fine. There is kind of a weird thing where there's these, you can kind of see this blue line of perforation or something like that. This little blue line of pixels at the very bottom of the screen. That never showed up before. So another major point about this thing is it automatically stretches the picture to 16:9. But pretty much everything you would use for this doesn't output a 16:9 picture. Anything that uses composite will be in 4:3. The picture you'll be seeing is in 4:3 because my capture card has the option to force it into a 4:3 resolution. Most modern TVs also have this function if you take the time to look in your menu and do it. Start screen here looks pretty good. The text and stuff isn't very sharp, but I kind of chalk that up to PlayStation always anti-aliasing everything, which makes everything look blurry and not sharp at all to begin with. And it'll load up my comically noobish load of Metal Gear Solid 3 here and kind of look around a little bit, and you'll see that it looks and sounds amazing. So works great with the PS2. Next up we have the Gamecube. And for this one I'll be loading up some Skies of Arcadia Legends. Go to some random island. And you know what? I don't even know what the hell's going on here. Anyway, once again, it looks great. The picture is good. The colors are great. The sound is amazing through this thing. Works great on the GameCube. Next up we got the Xbox, the original Xbox, or the original Xbox One. I'll be loading up Fable, and I forgot how atrocious the freaking loading times for this game. But as you can see, the picture's not very sharp, but again, it's upscaling I don't know, like a 480i picture to, well, right now it's set to 720p because my capture card can't handle 1080p. But I mean, if all you really need for this thing is to just play, you know, last gen or a couple generations ago consoles on your new TV, it's not a bad device. Xbox looks great, sounds great. Next up is the Dreamcast. Loading up Sonic Adventure here. And once again, the sound is amazing. The picture looks pretty damn good. So works great with the Dreamcast. Now we'll load up the Nintendo 64. And here's where the device kind of falls apart. Trying to load up some Mario Tennis. But as you can see, this is exactly what I see on my screen in the recording. This thing does not work at all with the Nintendo 64. From that same generation, we'll load up the Sega Saturn. I don't have a PS1 to test this with, but my guess is it's probably going to be about the same result. I pretty much play all my PS1 games on my PS2, which you already saw. But the Sega Saturn here, so the Sega Saturn is kind of interesting because a couple of screens here look fantastic. The main menu screen here and some of the loading screens all look great. But unfortunately, the character select screen, I can't tell what the hell's going on. But once you get to the gameplay, it really looks amazing. So it kind of half works for the Sega Saturn, which is really weird. So if you have a Sega Saturn and you want to play it and you can memorize menus, basically, I guess go for this device. But otherwise, I wouldn't really recommend it. Moving even farther back, let's load up the Sega Genesis, loading Sonic 1. So interesting thing here is the picture doesn't flip out like the other consoles, but it's completely in black and white. It still sounds amazing, but yeah, there's no color. So, and you can kind of see it's a little wavy. Like if you look at the text and some of the straight lines, it's just really odd looking. And again, from that same generation, we'll load up the Super Nintendo, or at least try to load up the Super Nintendo, some Super Mario All-Stars. And this is probably one of the worst. I'm sorry for making you watch this. I'm just gonna go ahead and... Does not work with the Super Nintendo. How about that? Once again, moving back a little farther, we'll go with the NES. Trying to load up some Mario 3. My Mario 3's cartridge was kind of acting up, but I don't think what you're seeing here on the screen is the cartridge. So pretty much this is the result of the NES on this device. And from that same generation, the Sega Master System is interesting because this device does not register the Sega Master System at all. And you can see that it's definitely not the system because I basically unplugged it from the device, plugged it into the raw composite input, into the capture card, and then switched it over to composite display, and here it is. Here's the main menu of Miracle Warriors for the Sega Master System. So it's not the system, it's the device. It does not work. And just for thoroughness sake, let's take it back a little earlier. I have an Atari 800 XL system trying to load up Pac-Man. This is one of the worst. This is just a disaster. So that's pretty much it. So in conclusion, I can't say that this thing is a total bust, because if you want to play it with either your PS2, GameCube, Xbox, or Dreamcast, it works great. Anything before then, do not use this thing.